pivot in the field, which is completely stuck the way it is, and that is what's causing the problem with the harvester needing to turn around. No, other way. I don't know. Okay. It's a little bit easier. Looks like there's a big drop up ahead again. Not quite as severe as the previous drop. And that's a huge drop. Yeah, that's probably really not going to work. Again, I should have a weight on the front of this so that I don't end up wiping out bits of ground that I don't want to wipe out. There you go. There is the edge of the field. How did we do? All things considered. Close enough. Once again, I'm going to jump out. I'm going to try and do something about this bit. Okay. That button takes you up. Okay. That's a little bit better. We'll just ignore the bit at the back. There we go. What does that look like? Possibly something where we'll be able to turn the harvester around without it dropping like a stone. Messed up the corner, of course. We'll attempt to rectify that again. Oh, we missed that one. Let's go back and try that again. Okay. Oops, that looks a little bit off. And that looks like I'm skating around without front wheels on the ground. Again. Okay. I'm going to get weight on this. I'm not happy with that field at all. But problem with the landscaping tool is once you start playing with the ground, you can never repair it. You've always got to just keep going and keep going until you get it to acceptable, but it's never going to be brilliant. Or at least I've not found it's ever going to be brilliant. But I don't know what it is about the back of this field where there's something there that I just cannot. Yeah, oh, you can't alter the terrain here. Why the heck not? Come on. Seriously. Oh. Yeah, okay, where's the weight? In the air. Good. Okay. Oh, there's a bit there that got missed. In general, making the fields isn't the problem. It's getting the land underneath it reasonable. I will keep ploughing in this general direction. just because it's easier to keep that top edge close to straight. Okay, come down to here and we'll run another north-south line so that I've got a little bit more leeway along this edge. And now with that I should be able to run. Whoa! This way as well. Left and flip. Come on. Turn around. Thank you. Yeah. Very bad ground contours there. At the end of the day, I don't know if that's an improvement or worse. Yes, the other moral of the story is don't mess with land contouring because you'll never get it right. Yeah. Okay. We'll look back at where we've been and see what that looks like. Well, it's ploughed. The way the tractor's bouncing around, I'm not sure how good it's going to be. Do the last bit north-south rather than east-west, but since I'm already facing this way, Yeah, that's still not big hole there. Well, to heck with it. It's done. Nope. I mean, even that. Good grief, this bit here. It's a completely horrible mess. But the buildings are too close, so you can't do anything about it. Ugh. And then I don't own that bit of land, so I can't do anything about that either. Okay, you just get on and do that. I'm going over here. Oh, hang on a minute. Okay. 708. Okay, let's go and get in the train. Make lots of money to start off with. Have the map on so I can see when we're getting to our destinations. I didn't check what's actually for sale. Oh, sunflowers. Mm-hmm. So the things I learnt about the train, you have to you have to select the rail car you want, just like you would any normal piece of equipment, and you have to open the lid on this one. That's an open car, so no big deal. What's the next one? Logging car. I think car 4 you have to open as well. And we need to be slowing down really, really fast. Drop your wheat in there. I lost 1 litre. So 36,000 litres from the first one. Oh, I I got my litre back. Don't know what the deal with that is. I don't think the placement of the rail depots is as friendly as what's it, Goldcrest. Because there was quite a number of times I would actually ship stuff across the map using the train. Extract it from elsewhere. Oh, missed. Or did we? Oh, we missed. There we go. Stop. And there's the rest of it. So how much did we get? 72 or 84? 60. Okay. So now we can close the lid on that, drive up to the transport company. Now the advantage of doing it this way is we're going to drop 60,000 litres all in one go, and we're not going to suffer from a price drop while we're selling. Stop already. Okay, lots of money. Well, some. 42,000. $42,394. Okay. Well, it's better than a kick in the teeth. Oh, I didn't fill the trailer all the way up to the top. Oh well. Because this is another thing, that it's more efficient to create bales and take those. I mean, round baler will take 8 bales at 4,000 litres a time. That's 32,000 litres total, and this trailer will take 23, I think. The square bale trailer will take 16 bales at 4,000 litres each, which is 64,000 litres. And I think that's more than any loading wagon will allow you to carry. So from an efficiency standpoint, bales is better. But this loading wagon is cheaper than a round baler. And with the round baler you would still have to have the bale picker-upper thing. And square baling equipment is about 3 times more expensive. I can get the job done, it just takes me far more trips. So I think we spent about 24,000 landscaping, field 12 again. 48, 50, 60, there's about 72,000. See, I could have paid off the loan rather than contouring the land. I still don't think I gained anything from that land contouring. Exactly, yeah. I mean, the loading wagon is the cheaper way to go. It's no big deal. I can do a couple of jobs. A couple of contracts. I can clear that money again. As I said earlier, I mean, I spent Saturday night, I played for an hour just to make sure all the settings were restored correctly. After the problems I had streaming law folds first thing on Saturday morning. I then played this map Sunday evening, not on stream, and I flipped a couple of fields, did a couple of contracts, so I've ended up paying off about 225,000 in debt that I had at the end of last Saturday. know tomorrow night's my night off. I'm thinking of doing a one-off, trying out an experiment with some cows. No, I'm not going to bring a flying saucer in and do what aliens are supposedly doing to cows, but I want to do a little bit of detailed analysis on cow feed and how it affects things. Because I think there are some YouTubers out there that don't necessarily understand how the game's working. I have a guess how it's working, but I'd like to confirm with actual gameplay. And I may stream some of that tomorrow night, just as a here's what I found. Here's what I think is really going on, here's what I found is going on, type of thing. I'll probably end up doing that on Ravenport because it's got a couple of good flat fields that you can plonk a couple of cow pastures on and run some tests with. Probably do it with the Michigan map too, because that's fairly flat. What do I mean fairly? It's very flat. Could you do... Okay, explain what you're thinking by that. I must admit I haven't downloaded the manure the manure pack yet. But I'm guessing you could buy it. Well, yeah. I must admit, I'm not very experienced with using manure as a fertilizer. The problem with those sorts of tests is you have to sort of run the test and then reset and run the test again. So what I'll usually do is I'll get all of the equipment I need on a field, save it, turn off the autosave, and then I'll do something, write down the results, do it again, write down the results, do it again, write down the results. I'm assuming you're looking at what's the difference between buying liquid fertilizer, buying solid fertilizer, and buying manure. And is one method cheaper than another? Obviously, to get the most useful useful results out, kind of have to use a helper or a worker, because they'll do a fairly efficient spread. I will overlap by way too much to make it scientific. what I did with my seeding tests. I've got a spreadsheet of how much seed it takes to plant. I think it was field 12 on Ravenport, with every single crop except sugar cane and poplars, because they don't use seed, so it's difficult to make a, I don't know, but I figured it was difficult to make a comparison, because what I was looking at is, if you want to plant something, what do you need the least seed to plant? Turns out the answer is oilseed radish. Uses an almost insignificant amount of seed when compared with anything else. The worst thing you can plant, potatoes, uses about 10 times as much seed as I think wheat, and wheat isn't particularly efficient as a crop. Soybeans, I think canola, and maybe sunflowers are very efficient crop producers when compared with the amount of seed you buy. But the bulk of it, wheat, barley, oats, and I think sugar beets, all use similar amounts of seed. So is the manure cheaper than solid or liquid, or is it the same? Yeah, it's cheap to buy at $1 a litre. Yeah, and that was the issue I found in 17 was that on Farm Sim 17, because I've run out of capacity. I think, no, have I? No, I've got 2% more. We'll run down this bit. On Farm Sim 17, I found that manure was one of the least efficient methods of fertilizing your field. Although on Lawfolds I was pleasantly surprised that it didn't use as much as I believed it did. But also slurry or digestate, you go through tanks of the stuff to fertilize a field. Conversely, spreaders and sprayers, the work time is a lot less. You're using far less diesel, and if you're paying a worker to do it, far less lower wages if you're running solid or liquid fertilizer. But I kind of would be interested to know how much fertilizer is used on a field, and then obviously what's the comparative costs. Yeah, I kind of am too. When I started playing Farm Sim 19, I generally bought a liquid sprayer, and then on the premise that I could use that for herbicide and liquid fertilizer. And then once every 3 harvests I would lease a spreader for lime. However, I think about a month and a half, maybe 2 months ago, I had a lime spreader and I decided to load it up with fertilizer, and it's sort of, this feels like it uses less. And I'm not sure if it's the case, but the solid fertilizer, I think, is definitely quicker to get laid down. And so I kind of switched my methods recently And I don't know if it's scientifically based or if it's just feelings and there's actually no truth in it. But I've started going with spreader to do lime and solid fertilizer, and buying a weeder and trying to catch the weeds before they get to second stage. Now the problem I found with Marwell Manor is some of the fields you don't own what would appear to be the entire field. And the result of that is you end up with weeds growing in an area you've planted, but it doesn't seem that you can weed it or drop herbicide on it. Because for some applications it deems, it to be outside the defined area of the field, and it's kind of annoying. I think the problem is when Oxygen David defined the map, he defined the edge of the field as the edge of the plot of land that you purchase. And in some cases, he's not absolutely accurate. Now, most other maps, you have a plot, you have a patch of ground around the outside of the field, which is also what you just bought. But it's not been ploughed or set up for planting or grass growing or whatever. Now, going back to Marwell Manor and Field 19, there's a lot of grass around Field 19 that you can mow but isn't part of the field. But that's because on Marwell Manor, the Marwell Manor farmyard and field 15, 18 and 19 all belong to you and all of the surrounding land. But when you get out to field 1, field 2, field 3, field 10, etc, etc, you own the field but you don't own the land surrounding it. When you buy a field, you're buying just the plantable area. I'm kind of hoping that his 1.1 patch addresses that issue, because he has said, you own the land in the middle for free rather than 17.9 million or whatever it is, and that may fix all of a sudden you own the land all the way up to the field, and then if you buy the field you own the field as well. So there's some leeway there in equipment operation. Yes, I found that between 18 and 17, 18 and 15. I planted 15 with I think canola. Then I started off a worker on 18 planting oats, I think it was, and I ended up planting probably about 20% of field 15, over planting 20% of field 15 with oats. And the problem was it wasn't edge to edge, it was a block in the middle, so I would have ended up with oats surrounded by canola, which I wasn't particularly impressed with. So I ended up having to go back and re-overplant the canola manually. and that's difficult because obviously, and until at least until the field has popped and you can see what's growing where, it's not very easy to overplant a crop with another crop in a precise location, especially not with that horse seeder that cultivates and plows for you. Sorry, cultivates and fertilizes for you. Field 19 has a patch of wheat. Yeah. Yeah, and again, I mean, I like Oxygen David's maps and formerly Bullet Bill's maps have an air of realism to them because they're basing them on, Google Maps download. Get an area on Google Maps and then plot a farm sim map over the top of it. And so what you end up with is very, very lifelike. And the problem with the UK is you don't have square fields. In America, everything's built square, even cities. So, finding a diagonal road through a city is kind of a rare thing in America. And similar with the fields. They're big square fields that you can just plonk half a dozen harvesters on and have them run up and down a few times, and the entire 20-acre plot is harvested in less than a day. But England really doesn't work that way, and I appreciate Frontier for Development's maps for bringing that level of realism to it, but the helpers just don't work with it. Back in Farm Sim 17, I tried to use Courseplay. I tried it on Sosnovka, and I could never really get it to work right. I also tried it on Chellington, and that was just bang your head against the wall exercise. Problem with Chellington was there were a lot of trees right up against a corner, and you would drive the course and it would happen, it would work no trouble, and then you would set Courseplay off with the same tractor and the same tipper, and after sort of 20 minutes of you harvesting a field somewhere, you'd sort of look up and think, I haven't made any money, and I should have, I told that worker to empty the silo, and there's five tipper loads in there, and I don't seem to have made any money in the last half hour. So you'd go off, tab over to where the tractor you'd set up on that course was, and it's wrapped itself around the tree. The trailer's on one side, the back of the tractor's on the other side, and you have problems extracting the whole kit and caboodle from where it's got wedged. So, forget this. Since I couldn't get it to work, I just, I gave up with it. Just said, I can't be bothered to invest the time. Plus, Courseplay allows you to manage a farm, but it's not you playing Farm Sim. It's you playing Farm Manager. And one of the reasons you get Farm Sim is to actually do the work in some cases, and the helpers are there to assist. Obviously, if you're playing solo on a farm like this, I kind of need the helper to do the harvest while I do the transport. At least if I want to get the task done fairly quickly. Now I could drive the harvester up and down, and when it gets full, jump out, grab the tractor with the tipper on the back and empty it and what have you. But then takes me 10 minutes to drive down to the sell point and back, in which in that same time the harvester could have filled itself up at least once. So, it's how much, it's how quickly you want to progress versus how much you want to do yourself. And I'll freely admit I cheat in some situations. Obviously at the start of Farm Sim 17, you wanted to transport bales on a flatbed. You had to load that flatbed with a front loader, either with a tractor or a telehandler. So I put my time in learning how to do that. Hi 44 Magnum. But frankly, when the first auto-load trailers started coming out, it was a case of, okay, I've done this enough. I want to get on and do stuff. And so, clearing a field of bales so that I can get the plough out and start ploughing it, I'll use an auto-load trailer and just get the bales out of the way, and then I can get into the ploughing and seeding and fertilizing again. Now, in some cases, sometimes in those situations, like I did on Sunday or Saturday morning, what I ended up doing was I had an open slurry tank, field slurry tank, and a truck with a tanker on the back to transport slurry, and a tractor with a slurry spreader. And what the rationale is well, this tractor can run up and down this field spreading slurry on the field and resupplying from the equipment I've left parked at the side of the field. But because I need to be off doing something else and can't, also the steering wheel's not working and half of my buttons are losing their mappings, I said rather than fighting this with less than ideal controls, I just set the worker to automatically refill the slurry spreader from the BGA, and just said I've got all the equipment here that it would be doing this, so let's just say the truck's running transport of slurry between the BGA and my field and restocking the infield tank. The workers fertilizing the field with the slurry, and every time he empties his tank he's running over to the resupply point, filling it up and going back out again, and the job's getting done in the time it takes the helper to do it. But because the helper system doesn't give you the ability to drive between a field and the BGA digestate tank, fill up and come back again, we just say we'll say that's what's happening, because that would be what was happening were the helpers able to drive on the streets with a truck. And I'm happy to live with that level of realism. Auto-load trailer. Well, I've got a tractor here with a front loader and some forks on. So what we can say is I've got a helper in there who's stacking the bales on the back of this auto-load trailer, and this flatbed trailer, but for expediting purposes I'm just going to have the trailer drive around the field and auto-load the bales itself. I did that. Tractor's okay. Yeah, that's pretty much okay. Let's clean it up. And that workshop tabber, brilliant thing. I can check all the equipment in the workshop without having to walk away, unhitch it, come back again. I'm not sure if Arthur has downloaded it yet, but I did notice in his stream yesterday he unhitched the spray equipment from his tractor and then drove the tractor into the workshop so he could change the tyres on it. My first thought when I saw him doing that is, seriously Arthur, have you not downloaded the helper mod yet? Because that really is the thing to have. Okay, that's unloaded. We'll grab, pick up the cedar attachment first and then put the tank on the front, because that has a better chance of balancing the load. Look out the front. Not sure if this stuff needs fixed. I think I checked it before I put it away last. I will go back and have a quick check. Okay, tractor, not a problem. Cedar, not a problem. I have repaired that recently, I'm fairly certain. And we're set to plant soybeans, so I guess that's what's on field 5. We'll do the same with this one. Okay, what happened to my plough? Is he still going? Well, no, he's finished. So, something. Set that off. What are you doing, dude? How the hell did you end up there? Okay, whatever. Guess I'm finishing this off manually too. Oops. There's a bit of grass missed there. Actually have to plough this part of the field since it's already been ploughed. And that That's sufficient for the seeder. As soon as I've done this row, I'll take this over to field 11. We can get that set up. Hey birdies. Okay. That's done. Oops. Just smashed a hole in the herbicide. That'll do. So, quick check. I'm thinking that field is withered. Oh, good grief. Wow. Okay, half the fields are withered. I found out 10's actually been replanted as grass. Before he's harvested. Yeah, I'd flipped field 6 and I was halfway through it when the crop all withered at this end because small child changed my time from real time to times 120. Now, not a big loss because it was my field at the time and I just sold it back having made profit on what I was able to pull out the ground. Does field 6 have a contract? Yes, it does. Cultivate. So we can go back and fix that. What's field 9? Has that got a job? Also cultivating. So it looks like all of those withered fields have reset to needing to be cultivated, which is kind of a good thing. I could do that with this setup. It doesn't pay particularly well, but it does get those fields productive again. So I may look into doing that off camera. As I said, I think we're pretty much I'm not going to be able to buy any fields necessarily. I think that one's quite expensive. 354,000, yeah. That one's 251. I think this one's probably cheapest, 130, and it's right by number 5. 6 is 300, 285, 244. There's just nothing else up here. These plots are kind of pricey too. But 9 has a lot of waste ground around it, so if I bought it, I'd be inclined to plough all the way out. Possibly a little bit wider here. Probably not wider on this side. I think there's a little bit of a height difference around about here. But that would make the field more usable. stretch there is expensive. That stretch there, you could cut down most of the trees and then plough it out. But this is, you know, it's looking like 4 is cheap. 2, 3. Then we're talking 100,000. That plot of land is frightfully expensive. And then we're just getting too far away from the main farm for our equipment. Plus, if I buy, you know, if I end up buying 9, 7, 8, 6 and 4, I'm probably going to want to start thinking about larger equipment so I can get the tasks done quicker. I mean, at the moment, what I've got, which is a tiny harvester and a couple of sub 200 horsepower. I mean, yeah, the Valt was 203, but call it a sub 200 horsepower tractor and equipment. What I own here, they're perfectly adequate for. I don't need bigger equipment. But as you buy more fields, you need to process the fields that you have faster because you have more of them to do in a given stretch of time. So anyway, let's have a look at equipment status. Is that the tipper? I think that's the tipper. And oh, the plough's getting a little bit damaged. Still above 50%. So as soon as we finish this job, we're going to need to do that. I'm going to repay 25,000, which will put us down to 50. And chickens, how's the chickens? Breeding every 8 hours 45 minutes. We have 59 litres of eggs and they're well fed. Contracts, okay. Save. So I am now going to say it's, oh good grief, nearly midnight. So I'm calling it here. It's been an interesting evening. And I will catch you all later. Meantime, have fun. And I will definitely be back, well, unless anything disastrous happens, I will be back later in the evening on Thursday. Possibly not for Arthur's multiplayer stream, but I will stream. What are we due to do this week? Portland, ATS, for anybody who wants to join me. If I'm home before Arthur stops streaming and it's not convenient for me to join that stream, I'll start my stream when he finishes. Otherwise, it'll be later. So, anyway, have fun. I'm Ose, and I'm out of here.